So our surrogate is from here, but our doctor is in Canada. And we wanted to have twins. So that also means that we have to have someone who's willing to take 2 embryos instead of 1. And that weeds out a lot of people. And then when we read the different profiles of those who fit the criteria in that aspect, we found one, and she just seemed like a peach, and she was. We reached out to them. We said we would like to work with her. And then we gave our second and third option. She said she was on board. Then we had our first call, actually May 31st of 2020. 2021. May 31st, 2021. And
which is the surrogate's birthday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's our due date.
Yep.
Wow. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so happy you came by. The Queerly Blax Show aims to normalize the everyday existence of Black, LGBTQIA+ individuals through an interview-style series with regular folks like you and me. So every week, a new guest shares their story and unique perspective on their existence as an LGBTQIA+ individual. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe, download, set your reminders to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley. I'm joined today by some very special guests. We got Ren and Den in the building. Ren and Den, introduce yourselves to the people.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ren, or Ronnie, my birth name, and this is my main man here.
I'm Den. Friends call me Den. My name is Dennis.
I love it. I love the rhyming. Ren and Den, I got it. I'm with you. Awesome, man. Well, thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I don't know if y'all seen any episodes of the show, but we always go back to the very beginning of your journey and figure out how you got into this wonderful, amazing queer community. When did y'all know y'all liked the fellas?
You want to go first?
Okay. I've always glared at boys when they played basketball, right? Or I always wanted the way the girls were always gawking at boys, or the way guys, I've always wanted a guy to try to approach me. So even as a kid, I've always known I was interested in boys. Although I didn't like the boys that I was around or nothing, I've always known that I was interested.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't know what any of it really meant. I did have feelings, I guess you would say, when I was 6, 7 years old, just pumping and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I was probably about 14, 15 years old where I actually understood what that actually meant. And then, I told my mom in a letter, because I was living with my dad at the time. And then my dad ended up finding out about me because of some stuff I had on the computer. And that was a whole big ordeal that we can go into that too. But yeah, I was young when I liked boys, but I also liked girls too at the same time. I guess that's conditioning. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But I really realized the feeling that I actually had was when I was about 14 years old.
What you left open? What you had AOL Messenger open? What you had MySpace? Which one was this?
So I definitely
what era was this? How old are you guys?
It was definitely
20s,
AOL.
30s? 20s,
It was
30s?
AOL. I'm actually 42.
Oh, okay. You look good.
Thank you. But yeah, I had AOL and
AOL Messenger.
Yeah, I had this little, long distance boyfriend or whatever. And we used to send pictures to each other, not crazy pictures, but send pictures, videos. There was no videos back then. And letters, you know what I mean? But there was this one picture he sent me, and it was of these 2 sailors. It was a caricature, the 2 sailors on this little boat, and he had sent the picture to me, and I had saved it, on the computer. So
Daddy was like, what?
Right. So and normally I was really good at making sure everything was deleted and everything was cleared off of the document history, because you click on the documents, whatever, you would see all the little things that were recently looked at. So I left it there. That next day I went to work, because I was working at Kmart when I was 16.
Oh,
And
Kmart, man.
yeah,
Those days.
yeah,
Back to school shopping.
yes, but I went to work, so I didn't get on the computer the next day. And then that following morning, that's when my dad got on the computer. It was a Tuesday morning. I won't ever forget. And he went on the computer. He saw that, which led him to look on the rest of the computer to see what else he could find. There are only like 5 other pictures. The one girl, there's one that Pepe Le Pew drawing, and like 3 other guys, their faces. From there, he ended up going to my bedroom, going through all of my stuff. And of course, I had a drawer of letters, from different pen pals I had. And he read all those. And then I had this magazine that had like these skimpy clothes in it. And but I kept that because it had like this workout program in it. So which I used to do like religiously every single day. And then he ended up calling my mom, calling my grandmother, calling my stepmom, and telling them all what he found. So then my mom, because she already knew, she calls me at school, and this was like the first period, and she was like, Ronnie, I just calling because let you know that your dad just called me. He told me he found this pictures and blah blah blah, and like I'm standing at like this little thing, in the principal's office where the phone was. It was the podium, and then there was a bench here.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here on the phone, and I just like fell. When she told me that, I just felt like my heart sank, my chest sank, everything. I was just like,
Now
oh
you
my
got to go
God.
the whole day dreading going home.
Yes,
Mhm.
First
yes,
period, your mama telling you your daddy done found your
yeah,
business. Now you got to go the
yeah,
whole day. Like,
The
I
whole
don't want to go
day.
back. How am I gonna run away?
And that usually is the fastest day of the
Of the
year.
year,
it was
man,
crazy. But it worked
insane.
out fine,
Yeah, yeah,
overall, it worked out fine.
yeah.
Ooh,
That's good. That's good.
my coming out story. Um, is a little different. I won't get into too much detail in the beginning,
Mhm.
but just me being 20, 19, 20, and I was doing some crazy stuff, ended up basically locked up. So I figured like, okay, well, this is the time to tell my mom that I'm gay. And if she don't like it, I can go after this, I can go a different way. So I was like, well, I wrote her a letter. I actually wrote all my siblings like a letter and like telling everybody like, this is the situation, this is who I am. And they all like wrote back, was like laughing. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry that happened to you, but yeah,
Right.
okay, yeah. But yeah. So I
Wow,
came back home, and then it was pretty cool ever since.
that's good. That's good. I'm glad you guys had reasonable coming out stories because that's not
Yeah.
always the
Yeah,
case for
yeah,
No.
people.
yeah.
So then you guys were so teenager and then like young adult. How was dating for you guys after coming out?
So for me, I had my, I would say my first real boyfriend was I guess my senior year in high school. And it was cool, it was it was like this black guy, and because where I live is a lot of white people, a lot of Hispanic people.
Where you
But
guys from?
I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
And
Oh,
I'm from New York.
Yeah.
okay. I'm from Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey. Hey,
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool. And then he kind of helped me learn to appreciate other black people. And then same thing in college, I didn't have a boyfriend until like at the end of my freshman year. It was just a lot of like meeting people, experiencing people, started learning, about myself because now I'm a young adult. Um, Going to like the clubs or whatever the case may be because it was, they have like the college nights and stuff like that. So it was really cool because I went to school in Philly. I went to Temple.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. So
Right.
I learned to really appreciate the culture a lot more. Um, going to school.
Nice.
So I started in the AOL chat rooms.
Hey.
And then there was like a group of friends who like we just became friends in those chat rooms, and then they kind of took me out to my first club. And it was like more of like the Spanish scene, which was really cool. So like dating was good.
Hmm.
And then I met this boy who's now one of my best friends. He took me to the black clubs. And then after that, it was like, okay,
Another
now
level.
I feel
We in
like,
here. Let's go.
and it was, it was just, it felt good because like high school girls didn't like me. They, I wasn't the most masculine boy.
Mhm.
So girls didn't like me. So I never really felt like people were looking at me because they were interested. So like going to like the gay scene, it was more like, oh, these men are looking at me, now they're interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You
What
know?
about what did you guys ever experience anything that made you feel like you wouldn't be safe as a gay man? Was there any do you ever remember experiences where you felt like I'm not safe? I think, and I'm asking that question from the context of like present day, right? Like we see a lot of just violence against our community and there's a lot of fear. While we've made a lot of progress, I think people forget that we are not progressed anywhere near where we should be.
Mhm.
Did you guys experience anything through your journey that made you feel like, man, like, I don't know about this?
Fortunately for me, I have not. Only thing that's really ever happened to me that scared the bejesus out of me was, being robbed at gunpoint. But that's literally anybody, and
Yeah.
it still was happening a lot at that time too. And this was in Philly, but
Yeah.
we're just not in the right place at the right time.
I think that's during the time of me coming out, I started having the I don't give a fuck attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't make me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm gonna make you feel uncomfortable before me.
Right.
So like, sometimes people would say something and then I would say something, like I never, like, because it was
Jill
like,
was ready to get, he like, well, what's up then? Like,
and because
Yeah.
like,
hothead boy.
but in high school, like I never been like the voice because I
Yeah.
was always like very feminine.
Yeah.
So like once I came out, it was like, all right, now I have my own community. I understand like who I'm trying to be or like what I feel natural in. So like after that, it was more like, I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
F all of y'all, say what you want to say. The whole Adam, Eve, Adam A. Steve and stuff was heard so many times on the train in New York. You go into Popeyes and somebody say something about like a fag. It's like, okay, so
Next. Yeah.
next, right,
Mhm.
right. Like
Yeah.
that's how I've always just kind of like took it.
Yeah, I feel it. And I think where we are now, it just it's good to hear that, you guys didn't have those different experiences.
Yeah.
Myself either. And I think I'm probably like you guys where I've just always owned who I am. Like I'm just like, this is me. And unfortunately some people exist in environments where that's not true, right? Like they don't feel safe, they don't feel comfortable to be themselves. So it's nice to hear that you guys had that experience. So now how did you guys meet?
Actually, it's actually right
Tell the
with my
truth now.
coming out story. It's actually so after I got released in 2007, I started working at a clothing store. So I was there for about a year. So like early 2008, right? Yep, early 2008. So this boy transferred to my job. Well, he got the job with me. And his boyfriend used to come get him all the time. Now, I never really like looked at the boyfriend or anything like that. It was just more so like, hey, your boyfriend's here to pick you up. Hey, your boyfriend brought you lunch. Hey, your boyfriend this. So the boyfriend is Ronnie.
Is
Yeah.
Mr. Still your boy? Is Mr. Still your boy? Okay, go ahead.
So a few years later, when like Facebook was like really popping and stuff like that, Ronnie added me. He's like, he approached me a few times and he's always said like, happy birthday.
So approach is a
say, look
strong
like
word.
Okay.
bag
Approach is
on
a
the play.
strong
What
word.
would you say?
I'm just saying, like, I don't remember adding you on Facebook, right? But we're gonna go with that.
Okay.
Because that was like 2011. It was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, at that time, I did not remember that he used to work at the store. You know, I didn't remember who he was. You know, he was just some cute boy that showed up on Facebook that I added. And
by then he's already done with the other relationship.
yeah.
Like that was already passed.
We had already,
yeah,
we were done. We were been done. So yeah, in 2011 or so, that's when I added you on Facebook. But while he was saying approaching him, I would reply to like some of his posts or whatever, or I would say like happy birthday, you know, every year.
Happy birthday, beautiful.
Or okay,
Ooh,
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Like it was always
Okay.
a happy birthday. It was
Uh-huh.
consistent. Though.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah, listen.
And then we ended up, what was it, 2017?
17.
We ended up in the same Facebook group. Now, from 2011, 2017, like I said, it never reached anything more than just, you know, like the cordial stuff, right?
And on Facebook, like it was never like an in-person, like
Yeah.
seeing them or
Yeah.
anything.
Because you were in Georgia at the
I was in
time.
Atlanta.
He was in Atlanta at the time. And so we ended up in the same Facebook group, and we were going on the group was going on a trip, on a cabin trip. And that was later in 2017. Now, initially I wasn't gonna go, but I was convinced to go. So last minute, I paid, I went on the trip. And he also was on the trip. And that's really where we really like connected at that point. And still, I didn't remember that he was who he was per se, you know what I mean? The boy from Zara, or even that I've spoken to him, you know, quite a few times on Facebook Messenger, because I don't think it was every year from that point.
No, because you was in relationships.
Yeah,
so when he was in a relationship, like
He was
I did
in
the math.
he was in your DMs. He
Like,
was like,
I did the math.
oh,
I wanted
okay,
to
he's
make sure
single
the
right
math was
now.
math,
Okay.
math was
Yeah.
math, so I was cool. So I was like, yeah, it definitely wasn't no like disrespect on that. And then later that night, it was a pajama party.
Ooh.
So everybody goes upstairs, you change your clothes, you come back down.
Little
You know,
silkies on.
you put you put your cologne on. Like we grown, we knew.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it was like 60 people there. So it wasn't like, it was just a good time, just friends. And then for some reason, Ronnie ended up like right in front of me.
For some reason.
We were by the pool table.
Yeah.
We were at the pool table.
But you was in front of me.
I don't remember being in front of you.
Yeah. So he was in front of me. So I don't know why I did that, but I like kind of like licked his neck.
No, that's not it.
Go ahead, tell the story.
He had to go to the bathroom, and I was in front of you in the bathroom.
Oh, that was the bathroom.
So we were all at the
Yeah.
pool table, and then Dennis, he has, you know, his drink, and he says to me, you know, I have to go to the bathroom. Can you hold my cup? And I said, all right. So he takes like 2 steps, and then he looks at me. He's like, so you're gonna come watch the door? I was like,
the door didn't lock because I used the bathroom a lot already. Because I was already like drinking.
Right. So he was like, I know this joint don't lock. I need
I
some
know.
protection.
Listen.
so I was like, all right. So then I go, I'm literally standing right in front of the door. And then he opens the door, and that's when he kisses my neck. And then the rest is history.
We know what happens after that.
Like literally right
We're
there
here
in the bathroom.
today. We're here today.
Like, listen, right. Listen.
We know what happens after that. You know? Amazing. So did you guys get together? Yeah, you guys got together immediately after that. Because sometimes, you know, you can have that experience and then it's like, all right, I still don't. But since then, you guys have been together.
Like
Since then,
like throughout the weekend, like we just kind of hung out with each other. Spent time with each other at the cabin from that point on. And then that next weekend, I was coming to Atlanta for another group's event. Like we had a gala, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna come see you. So I made sure I carved out time during my weekend to spend time with him too. Like actually every single day we spent time with each other. You came to the party.
Yeah.
And we came to the party that we had, and it was a really nice event too.
I love that. I love that. So you guys are married now. Who proposed? Who proposed?
I did.
Briefly tell me the story. What happened?
Briefly, we had it was a flash mob proposal.
Oh.
In
So,
Hudson Yards.
yeah, Hudson Yards in New York. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's. Did you have any idea then?
No, not really.
Telling the
Not leading,
truth.
Not leading up to it.
Yeah,
No,
but
Oh,
no,
you
leading
had no idea. But
no.
then after
Until, like,
hindsight,
until the
after it
music
happened, you was like,
started. The music started, and I said, I don't know who's this music for. Like, everybody, like, move over, because I don't like. There was other people there.
yeah.
And then I seen one of the dancers, and I was like, I know one of these dancers, and I was like, OMG, he's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like, not now, but like right now.
Right
It's
at this
happening.
moment.
At this moment.
I love
What are you
that.
gonna say? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing. And you guys have been dating for how long at that point? 2, 3 years, 4 years?
A year and a half?
Yeah, 2019 was a proposal. 2000,
21.
no, 2000. It's basically, yeah, year and a half. Because technically we got together December of 2017. So 18, and
Yeah.
then
Got it.
a little
Okay.
over a year and a half.
I love
But
that.
we had talked about like relationships, marriage, and everything like that before the proposal, of course, too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think one of the things about him and I, at least we talked about this, like our relationship with each other is different from any relationship that we've ever had. It was just so seamless. Everything was just so smooth, so easy. It actually was something that I had said to an ex of mine before, like when we were breaking up. And I was like, honestly, I just feel like our relationship, obviously it takes work, but it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah.
Like some of them,
Yeah.
they don't have to be that hard.
Right. Right. Agreed.
And with him, it was just super easy. And I knew. I was like, I knew. Like,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I agree. Me and my wife have been together for 15 years, and I think it's even still today. I mean, there's hard things, but the relationship itself is never the thing that's hard. You know what I mean?
right,
So I
right.
agree. Yeah. I love that. And so now you are, well, before that, so COVID, right? So you guys get engaged and then COVID happens,
Mhm.
right? Talk about how you guys were able to get through that period, because what we saw was a surge of relationships and a surge of separations. Talk about some of the things that you guys did to get through COVID.
Oh,
I go first.
okay.
I love COVID. Like, so I'm a house like body. Like, I'm a couch potato. I love being at home, not talking to nobody, not being around people. Like, in my own little world. I had just got Animal Crossing, so I was like, oh, we're good. And then, like, one thing I love is that I love catering to Ronnie. So while he was at work, I always make sure he had breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then it's like, I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and then like he was in the room, I was in the living room most of the time. So it didn't really feel like we was always together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I think what helped us too is that I used to work from home when we first got together. So it wasn't a huge
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. Being at home.
We did move, which did change I'll say the little bit of dynamic, because I had an office at the time, and then we moved to Brooklyn, and then I didn't have an office, so it was just in our bedroom. So he ended up spending his time, like I said, in the living room for the most part, and I was in the bedroom working while we were there. But it was cool. Like, it was just super stress free. I think mostly because you didn't have to go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And New York was woo, man.
Yeah.
New York was on the news.
yeah.
It was
His
bad.
bodies just going in the ground. Like, it was insane. Like, New York
Mhm.
had it. It was crazy, man. It was
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. And then even New Jersey, just because obviously the trickle down effect is that the tri-state gets hit whenever there's like when one happens, the others happen. My mom works in a hospital, and I remember her telling me about transports from New York, like patients that got transported to Jersey from New York. So so shout out to you guys for making it through that, first of all. Because man, it was insane. Okay, and now you're about to have a baby.
Yeah.
You're gonna be daddies to a baby girl, baby C. Talk about the decision to have a baby, and the process that you guys are using to have a child.
Sure. So In 2018, obviously in the beginning of the relationship, we talked about whether we want kids. And yeah, you know, he was open to it. I definitely was like, yeah, I think I want to have a kid too. So we ended up going to a meeting, a surrogacy meeting, and with this company called Men's Having Baby in New York. And that was a, you know, it was really informative experience. From there, we kind of put the conversation off, and then we revisited it again around our time we got married. So looking at adoption, looking at, you know, foster care, and then surrogacy as a whole. But both of us, we really wanted to have our own, you know, biological children. I'm super thankful, and shout out to all the people who do foster and do adopt. It is fantastic. I don't think there's any right way of going about having your own kids.
Yeah.
But this was one of the things that we wanted for ourselves. So we looked into how we can go about doing that even further, like start researching different countries, asking people that we knew that had kids. And that's how we pretty much decided on the direction that we wanted to go. And yeah, it finalized that between Colombia. We tossed out Mexico. Yeah, Mexico was in there, in Canada. Like those are the three countries that we were looking at primarily. But the thing that we wanted for our kid too was to have an egg donor that was known.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, typically your egg donor either is known or unknown, which just means that your anonymous egg donor, you'll get their profile, you'll get all their information, their pictures, details about their history, their health, but you don't ever have contact with them. You don't have their real name. A known donor, you know, you'll have conversations with them. You'll know their name. You know, your relationship essentially is whatever you want to make it. But the most important thing for us was, in which we relate to our agency, was at any given point before the kid is 18, if they want to know more about them, they will have that option. And that's how we ended up going with Canada instead of Mexico or Colombia.
Awesome. And it's like, so going through that process, what it sounds like there's different countries that you can choose to have your surrogate be from.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure the United States included.
Yeah.
You can, you know, choose. And then it sounds like there's different rules and laws around each country that kind of, from your process, like eliminated some versus the others because of, I'm sure, like the level of control you have over like certain things and like the level of visibility to certain information and like all that kind of stuff. What were some of the other things that were decision factors for you as you kind of selected your surrogate?
I don't know if it was a decision factor. I think what really made us choose Canada was our doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think once we had the consultation with him, it was like he was like just so warm, and like I really felt like he was there for us and our best interest. Yeah.
Like he took us in, like we were part of his family, and that's actually how he treated us the entire process.
Yeah.
And then when it came to answer your other question too, when it came to the surrogate part, so he actually recommended to us a few different agencies, and we contacted each of them. We spoke to a few of them, and this one in particular we went with, they had a hybrid program, because to have a surrogate that's based in Canada, the wait is a lot longer than in the United States, for instance, just because in Canada it's altruistic, so they don't get paid for being a surrogate, where in the United States they do. And there's just a limited number of women available, you know.
Yeah.
So we did with the hybrid program, and then so our surrogate is from here, but our doctor is in Canada, and we wanted to have twins. So that also means that we have to have someone who's willing to take 2 embryos instead of 1, and that weeds out a lot of people. And then when we read the different profiles of those who fit the criteria in that aspect, we found one, and she just seemed like a peach, you know, and she was. We reached out to them. We said we would like to work with her. And then we gave our like second and third option. She said she was on board. then we had our first call actually May 31st of 2020. 2021, May 31st, 2021. And
which is her birthday, the surrogate's birthday.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
awesome.
our due date.
yep,
Wow.
yep,
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
yep.
So crazy.
So but yeah, and actually I'm sorry, we chose her, we matched on the 31st. We had to call like a week later.
Okay.
That's what that was. Sorry. But we just hit it off right away. It just was an amazing bond, like immediately. So so yeah. Now finding the egg donor, that was a much longer process.
Yeah. So then again, just because I want to make sure people understand this, because this is definitely not a conversation that we hear a lot, just in terms of when men have built their families. So with a surrogate, is there an option to use the surrogate's eggs, or do you have to have a separate egg donor and
So
a surrogate?
you don't have
Okay.
to, but typically when you go in today's world, when you go into surrogacy, you do use a separate egg donor because it decreases the risk of the ultimate outcome. If you use your carrier as your actual surrogate, which is called traditional surrogacy,
We're
there's a
using her
chance.
body. Her
Yeah.
You be
egg.
doing,
her
yeah,
body.
and you be doing IUI instead of IVF, which is less, the percentage is less than, unless you extract her eggs and then put them back, create
Right,
the embryo
right,
and then put
right.
it, yeah.
So,
Got it.
but also legally, you get into a little more complications too, because that is her biological child.
Yeah.
So if she changes her mind, it is very hard to make sure that the process goes the way you want it to go. However, by doing gestational surrogacy, which is taking a different woman's eggs, creating your embryos, and then implanting them into your carrier, the carrier has no genetic ties to the baby. So it is highly unlikely for her to be able to keep the baby if she gets attached to it through the whole process or anything like that. So that's where there's much more protection for you to go gestational carrier route versus traditional surrogacy.
Got it. Okay. Good. Okay. I wanted to make sure that clarification was done.
Thanks for that.
Amazing. So then, so you said your surrogate is in the States?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
egg donor
is in,
she actually is in the States also.
okay.
We had an issue with our first egg donor that was in Canada, and then we had an issue with the second egg donor who was in Canada, and then we found a third egg donor who was in the United States because we were just like, you know what, maybe we just need to branch out a little bit more. The girl, we actually loved her. She was on board, but the program that we went on through our doctor was a sibling journey. It's a guaranteed sibling journey. So the requirements were even more they were stricter than normal because the doctor's like, all right, we're guaranteeing you both having a child. So the egg donors have to be extremely fertile. They have to pretty much be, under 28. Because, obviously the older a woman becomes, the less eggs she produces, and the quality also does change. But with the younger donor, they're usually much more fertile. They usually produce much more eggs, and there are less issues with them. So the woman we had, she didn't meet the criteria. And then our final egg donor, the one we have now, she was perfect for us. So yeah, she actually ended up being based in Oregon.
Awesome. And so then once she goes into labor or has the baby, they call you and tell you to come, or how does it?
No, we are
does it
going to
work?
be there. Like,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
catch her.
So she,
Like, we're catching
she
her.
she calls you and tells you like, I'm in labor, or I'm like, it's happening, and then you guys go and obviously like have that.
And it is kind of different for every single couple. I'm gonna call them couple, our parents and then the carrier, because based on your location, there can be varying instances based on your financial situation. You may or may not be able to work early. You may not work from home. So what we're doing to kind of make sure that we are there at the time is we're gonna go like a week or two early before the due date, and we're gonna be in Georgia for the the last couple of weeks. We talk to her almost every single day also. So like, you know, we're kept up to date with her appointments and how those are going. And that's also written in the contract too. You know, if she's going through any issues, she needs to let us know. If she's going to the hospital, if she has any doctor's appointments, she has to let us know those as well. And then she lets us know the outcome of them. Additionally, there's documents signed that say if we want to ask the doctors this information about her and then our baby, we can, you know what I mean? So the HIPAA release forms or whatever, those are all signed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are put into place to help protect us as well, to make sure we don't miss out on these important things.
Yeah. I love
But
that.
you know, some people I have heard that situation where the
that they
woman's
don't.
calling like, hey, I'm going to labor now, and then the guys have to try to get to the, you know, to the hospital or wherever she is, because lots of times they're not in the same location.
Yeah, no, it's great that you guys are able to go and, like, you know, be a part of that process, because it's scary but beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very scary but beautiful. Awesome. So cost, just kind of ballpark, how much does this cost?
It is, the way we did it, it's about $200,000. Yep, because we stuck in the United States doing this.
Yeah.
For the most part, like, you know,
A lot of the state fees were
they still applied, like, because, you know, by going to a different country, you do reduce costs by agency fees, but also some of the medical stuff a lot of times, because in a lot of other countries, they have health insurance. In addition, the carriers either get compensated or they don't get compensated, or the compensation isn't, you know, $40,000-$50,000.
Yeah.
Not everybody's that high. Some of them are 30, but that's still a lot of money.
Still, yeah.
Plus, on top of the compensation they receive, there's also reimbursements for different expenses that they have to incur. They also get like a monthly allowance for like some food and some clothes. They have childcare reimbursements, because every surrogate, whether you do traditional or gestational, they have to have had a child already. So there's, you know, when she has to go to her appointments or when she has to go away for a few days for procedures and things, there's childcare that has
For
to be
her, yeah,
provided
for the
as
kids that
well.
she already has. Yeah.
And loss of work. You know, if she's working and
Yeah.
she has to miss work, you have to, that gets tacked in there too.
Yeah, it's all worth it though.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't change any
Yeah.
part of this at all.
That's amazing. So what advice would you have for, obviously you guys are on the final stretch of you know, welcoming your baby girl. What advice would you have for, you know, to people in our community that are planning to go this route? Because there are women who, you know, want to go the route of surrogacy as well. What advice would you have?
I think for me would be mentally take your time. Like read through all your paperwork, read through, make sure that you're mentally and emotionally like ready, because it's a whirlwind, you know, and then it's like hiccups happen, you know, so like you have to like mentally prepare yourself for it. You like just enjoy the ride, but just take your time and understand that there's a whole other plan after this. Yeah.
And I have two thoughts. One, to piggyback off what he said about taking your time and prepare yourself. I am one of the people who like to control things or make things a certain type of way. Like I just always been that way. If there's something I want, I map out how I'm going to get it, when I'm going to get it. I'm to the T. And I try to do that with this process too. And it just did not work out that way. So it left me disappointed a few steps along the way, you know? So it's just one of those things where I had to learn, I have to let go and let God, you know what I mean? Whoever you believe in or whatever you believe in, you just have to let things happen the way they have to happen. And it all works out for you the way it should, the time it should, you know? And that's just something that's really, really key, because one, it's biology, it's nature, you know, you can't control how your body reacts, and you can't control the many hands or the mistakes and the things like that happen along the way. I just be completely honest, like one of the things that happened to us is we were supposed to have our embryo creation in April of last year. But it didn't happen because when we took a test, my test came back positive that I had syphilis. Now, I've never had syphilis, so there should have never been any type of trace in my system from that before. And then it made me look at him like, what's going on? You know what I mean? But
my test didn't come back like
yeah,
that. So I was like, I don't know, bro.
Well, the thing too is his test didn't come back yet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They called me and they were like, "Hey, we can't use your sperm because da 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 da," and I'm just like, "That's not possible." I said, "That's not possible." But then again, it did make me look crooked at him for a second. So then that I was like on a Saturday, tested at home, and they both come back clear. So there are things that happen along the way that in it okay?
Here we go. I think we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good right there.
But yeah, there are things that happen along the way that you can't control, whether it's you making a mistake or somebody else or a lab or just whatever the case may be. And they did end up using our sperm because it did come back fine overall, but it's still like it set us back a few months because of that hiccup. You know, we were aiming, all right, we're gonna have a little Capricorn baby, have a baby in January, have the baby in January. We were just mapping out our lives based on that, and it just did not work out that way.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, were you going to say something? I was going to
No,
switch.
I was going to clarify, like, because the States and Canada, they do testing differently.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
So when we took it to our doctor, my doctor was like, there was a few emails back and forth about the testing.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was already like an emotional situation, because now we're like, look at probably what we caused, but it's like, you just can't control it.
Yeah.
You just can't.
And then the other thing that prohibits a lot of people, or they feel like they can't do this, is money. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, if you see honestly, credit is a thing that in our community isn't the best amongst a lot of people. So it's little things that you do over time that help your future out. And if you can work on improving your credit, like paying off bills and learning better spending habits, that will help you along the way, whether it takes 2 years or 4 years or 5 years. One, you're never too old to have a kid.
Yeah.
And two, it's going to help you out in the long run anyway. So by having a good credit, you would then be able to qualify for whatever you want, good rates, but then you also can qualify for a loan, because I'll just be honest, like we did take out a loan for this because it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So we took out a loan to kind of help supplement, the cost along with what we already had saved. And that's how we were able to do this. But had we not been in the position that we were, none of it would have been possible. So I absolutely think this is a journey that anybody could go on, whether you have a partner or whether you're a single parent, because there are many single dads who are out there having kids or going through surrogacy, which is perfectly fine. But you just have to learn the discipline today so that way your future self will be able to do what you want to do. And whether you want to buy a house, have a kid, all that, it's just important to say, okay, this is my budget, this is what I need to live by, and stick to it. I love shopping, and that was my problem. And I'm rambling now, so I'm going to stop. But
I love shopping too. I will piggyback on what you said, though. I think that it is the most unpredictable thing that we've been through in our entire life. Having a child, and the unpredictability does not stop after the child is born. It goes to 1,000. It goes to 1,000%. My grandmother, she calls our son the boss because he is in charge. It is not about us. What we want, it does not matter. What he wants is what's the most important thing. And my wife is like you, Ren. She everything has to be like perfect. Like if this is happening, then this should be happening. Like if this is happening, then that should be happening. And throughout this whole process, like there were so many times where we had to sit down and I'd be like, babe, it ain't going like that. We gonna be just fine. Right? Because you read and you read and you read, and it's like, okay, if this is that, and if this is happening here, and if that's happening there, and and it's like, but the books say that, but what did God say?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, between science and God, this is already mapped out. We just in it.
You gotta
right?
go for the ride.
you got to go for the ride, you know? And
Yeah.
so that I think is very, very important for people to understand is that like this ride, it's a ride. And you got to just be like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what's happening today? Like what do we got in store today?
When I didn't speak to the surrogate and there was nothing happening, I could breathe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Cause so sometimes even if she's like, hey, like she'll hit us up and say, hey guys, like I already start panicking.
You're like, oh my God, what's
Even
going
if it's good, even if it's like good, you're like, what happened?
Yep.
So
Yep. Every doctor appointment is anxiety. Every visit, like you're always like, okay, I just want everything to be okay. I just want everything to be okay. I just want everything to be okay. You know, and at the end of the day, a healthy baby is what we want. But I will stress that advice to people that it is not going to go the way you think. Just expect for it to not go the way that you plan. Whatever you got on your paper, you got it all met. It ain't gonna go like that. So just forget about it and enjoy the ride. Just
take every email as like as it is.
As it is. Yes, that's major. That is major. That is major. Yeah. Well, congratulations. I'm so excited for you guys. It's gonna be the most beautiful thing that you ever experience. And it's a girl. Oh my God. Like we have a son and I'm like, I'm team boy dad, boy mom. I'm like, we're gonna have another kid probably somewhere down the road here. And I'm like, two sons, like team boy mom, like I'm all for it. But if I had a daughter, cause I already know like it's over. Like a girl is done. I'm done. I'm toast. My son, he doesn't control me, right? Like my son will be like, hey man, you know what's up? Like it's time to go to bed. Let's go. Like we ain't doing this. A daughter, it's like, come on, man, what am I gonna do with that? So y'all she about to have y'all wrapped around y'all finger. Who gonna be the worst? Do y'all know already who gonna be? Oh yeah.
I feel like
I'm definitely the discipliner.
I feel like I'm gonna be the one that's like,
yeah, that's my wife. I'm like, I might as well be a dad, she calls it, because I buy toys. Like today, I took them to this little class. We was playing. I buy all the toys. I take
like that's bought a toy, and I'm like,
I buy shoes. I do all that. Like I'm the let's get fly. Let's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's go hang out. Mom going to work today. We going out. Let's go. We going to Target. We going to the park. That's me. It's all fun. It's all funny games with me. Until it's time to go to bed and I'm like, hey.
I definitely think
it's a lot of fun.
I'm scared. That's the one who I feel like me and him gonna be.
Yeah.
He does that way because I did that with our dog.
But the thing is, because he's like, you look at him with a puppy dog face, he is like, he cannot just not do it.
Yeah.
That look stuff I don't play. I'd be like, get out of my face.
It's all good. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciated this conversation. I wish you both well, in this journey. Just continue to enjoy the ride. You guys got a couple more weeks. Love on each other, take each other out, date each other, because it's going to be crazy. So, plan them last couple date nights. Y'all go out, enjoy each other, like concert. If there's a basketball game, a concert that y'all want to hit, do it now, man. I'm telling you. Go enjoy this. Go enjoy this last couple of weeks. Really date each other, love each other, enjoy the quiet, because it's about to change. So, where can the people find you guys?
So our Instagram, we have a joint page, which is Cestero.Spruill, CESTERO.SPRUILL. And then we also have individual pages as well. Mine is LILRONE, so Little Ronnie. And
mine is Denny DENNI _Den DEN.
Nice.
We also have a YouTube page as well, Ren Den.
Got it. Well, thank you guys for coming. And y'all already know this is another absolutely. This is another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.